we're back from Japan, back in the saddle. Man, the last few weeks have been incredibly busy. We came back finalizing reports on the last trip. Now we're preparing for another one in a few weeks. But this one's a lot longer, so we got a lot of great content I'm going to shoot while I'm there. Super excited for that. But for now, this is the weekly Startup Vagabond kind of world news. So I still need a better way of saying that, a better title for this. However, let's get into it. Starting as usual, we're going to start in Asia and then make our way through Latin America and finally Europe. Not a whole lot in Latin America this week. Kind of a quiet, last 2 weeks. Kind of a quiet time in Latin America. Not a whole lot of funds were raised, but that's fine. We'll get to that in a minute. So starting off in Asia, in Japan, SoftBank, they shuffled their deck. SoftBank sold most of its TSMC stake while buying into companies like Capital One and Life360. This is interesting because SoftBank is still deeply tied to the AI boom, but investors are watching how it plans to finance its huge commitments to OpenAI and AI infrastructure. So it seems like they're moving away from AI speculation and more into kind of guaranteed returns, which I can't blame them. Still in Japan, XMile raises $20 million USD for industrial workforce AI. Tokyo-based XMile raised $20 million USD to expand its software for logistics, construction, and manufacturing companies. The platform uses vertical AI to help blue-collar businesses handle hiring, dispatch, and admin work in industries already struggling with labor shortages. Mitsubishi Electric backs quantum middleware. Mitsubishi Electric's innovation fund invested in Japanese startup JIJ, which builds middleware for quantum computing and mathematical optimization. The interesting angle is practical quantum, software that helps industrial companies solve complex optimization problems without needing deep quantum expertise. Over in South Korea, a $3.5 billion USD semiconductor fund. South Korea announced a 5 trillion won, or roughly 3.5 billion USD, semiconductor fund for fabless startups and companies building chip materials, components, and equipment. Korea is not just subsidizing Samsung and SK Hynix anymore. It is trying to build an entire startup ecosystem around the semiconductor supply chain. Smart. So what comes after chips? Korea also unveiled its 7 major seed technology strategy, covering quantum computing, space, fusion, advanced biotechs, renewables, and critical materials. The targets are ambitious: a Korean moon landing, a 100-qubit quantum computer, and new industries beyond semiconductors. Over in Singapore, Bundle builds shared rewards for small businesses. Singapore-based Bundle raised $5.5 million USD before launch to build a shared customer rewards platform across Singapore, Vietnam, and the Philippines. The idea is to let businesses pool their loyalty budgets so they can compete more like major banks, airlines, and consumer platforms. IWOW, I-W-O-W, I hope I'm saying that right, raises for smart city infrastructure. Singapore's IWOW technology raised about $15 million Singapore dollars to expand smart metering, industrial automation, and wireless tracking infrastructure. It is not a flashy consumer startup, but it fits Singapore's broader strengths in practical urban and industrial technology. GPRNT, Gepernt? Who knows? Targets ESG infrastructure. Now I want to say Gepernt. GPRNT, a spin-out from the Monetary Authorization or Authority of Singapore, is reportedly seeking around $10 million USD in Series A funding. The company gives Singapore a clean climate and ESG infrastructure story, especially as companies across Asia face more pressure to track sustainability data. Over in Vietnam, native AI funding starts to show up. Vietnam has reportedly become Southeast Asia's second largest destination for native AI startup capital, with $19 million in $19 million USD in disclosed funding. that is tiny compared to Singapore, but it shows Vietnam's engineering talent is starting to translate into domain-specific AI startups. Over in Thailand, capital rotates into Thai markets. Thailand was one of the few Asian markets to record foreign equity inflows in July, attracting roughly $1.46 billion USD. This is more market news than startup news, but it shows investors rotating into Thailand, while some tech-heavy markets face pressure. And our last startup news for Asia, Taiwan, AI anxiety hits the markets. Taiwan saw major foreign equity outflows in July as investors questioned whether AI spending and semiconductor demand can keep growing at the current pace. This is a meaningful reversal for one of the biggest winners of the AI infrastructure boom. I would say definitely keep an eye on the South Korean stock market. Over the last week, it's taken a huge tumble. I believe it was close to like 20% of its value was dropped in just last week. Most of that was because of Samsung and SK Hynix. Not they caused it, but just a lot of AI speculation of people starting to wonder, can this keep going on forever? So keep your eye there. In VC news in Asia, South Korea, institutional money returns to venture capital. Korea Post and major Korean pension funds are reportedly resuming allocations to domestic venture capital firms after nearly a year on the sidelines. For founders, that matters because more LP money can reopen the capital pipeline across Korea's startup ecosystem. In Japan, public money backs healthcare VC. Japan Investment Corporation committed 2 billion yen to Red No. 1 Healthcare, specialized healthcare venture fund led by 2 female PhD founders. This is a useful example of Japan using public capital to build specialized VC markets where private capital is still thin. In Southeast Asia, startup funding falls back to earth. After a huge June, Southeast Asian startup funding reportedly plunged 84% in July. It's a good reality check. The AI megadeals make the market look hot, but the broader fundraising environment is still very uneven. AI infrastructure dominates the region. Southeast Asian AI startup funding has reportedly reached $4.1 billion USD in 2026, with Singapore accounting for more than 95% of the total. The money is concentrating in AI infrastructure and data centers, not early-stage consumer software. In other ecosystem news, Japan and Taiwan. AI healthcare goes cross-border. 15 Taipei area AI healthcare companies showcased through a program connecting Taiwan's startup ecosystem with Japan's Kansai region. It's a good reminder that Asian startup ecosystems are increasingly collaborating across borders instead of operating as isolated national markets. Chips become a full-stack strategy in South Korea. Korea's chip strategy now touches semiconductors, materials, components, trade financing, quantum, space, and national defense. The country made its money from chips, and now it's deciding what comes after chips. And overall Asia, the region's AI divide is getting wider. Across Asia, the pattern is clear. Capital is flowing to AI infrastructure, semiconductors, ESG data, logistics, and industrial software. But outside the largest countries and categories, early-stage funding still looks much harder. In Latin American news, Brazil. Brazil kind of takes the cake this week. Decade raises Latin America's largest seed round. Sao Paulo-based Decade raised $85 million USD in what is being described as Latin America's largest seed round to date. Founded by former Nubank executives, the company combines AI models with human advisors to build new wealth management platform. Jusfi, Jusfy, raises $15 million USD for legal and financial tools. Brazilian legal tech startup Jusfy, raised $15 million USD to expand its software and embedded financial tools for law firms. The company combines legal workflow automation with payments, which is a practical fit for Brazil's complex legal and financial environment. AI, wealth, and legal tech lead the region. Brazil had two of Latin America's more useful startup stories this cycle, Decade in Wealth Management and Justify in legal tech. Both are good examples of AI being applied to specific high-friction professional services instead of generic chatbot use cases. Sadly, it was a pretty quiet end of July and early August for Latin America when it comes to the VC side, so not a whole lot there. So we'll hopefully have more news next week on the VC side in Latin America. So, or if you have any stories that are great, let me know. Moving over to Europe. In startup news, a lot of UK this week. Olix, OLIX, raises for AI inference chips. London-based Olix, raised roughly £270 million at a valuation approaching, maybe that's euros. That's euros, yeah. 270 million euros at a valuation approaching 2.8 billion euros. The company is building chips for AI inference, which makes this a clean Europe wants its own NVIDIA alternatives story. MindGuard raised 26 million euros for AI cybersecurity. MindGuard, a Lancaster University spinout, raised 26 million euros to expand its AI security platform. The company attacks AI models and agents like hackers would, then helps enterprises find vulnerabilities before attackers do. Enforcer raises $50 million USD for MSP security. UK-based Enforcer, INFORCER, raised $50 million USD to scale its Microsoft security and AI management tools for managed service providers. The company helps MSPs handle co-pilot management, shadow AI detection, and automated security response for mid-market companies. In the UK and Germany, Aegon builds synthetic battlefields. Aegon launched out of stealth with $30 million USD to build simulated environments for testing autonomous drones and interceptors. The London and Berlin-based startup fits Europe's defense tech trend, but with a software-first angle around virtual military testing. Curate, QUREIGHT, raises for AI medical imaging. Cambridge-based Curate raised $20 million for its 3D chest foundation model. Its AI platform helps pharma companies analyze imaging for drug trials much faster, turning medical imaging into a more scalable workflow. LemonEdge raises for private market software. London-based LemonEdge raised $21 million for investors, including Blackstone, DNY, and Sidekick Partners. The company automates complex accounting for private equity, venture capital, real estate, and other private market asset managers. And UK legal tech startup Avalinx, AAVALYNX, Avalinx, raised about 1.75 million euros to automate dispute resolution work. The platform helps legal teams review cases, assess risk, and synthesize evidence faster. In France, Shiplog builds agentic customer intelligence. Paris-based Shiplog raised early-stage funding for AI agents that analyze customer interactions across channels. It is a small round, but it shows agentic AI moving into very specific B2B workflows. AMDB Security Pro targets the US markets. Lyon-based AMDB Security Pro raised 2.68 million euros for anti-theft technology used in construction equipment. The company plans to expand into the US, which makes it a useful founder story about European industrial startups going after American consumers. Over in Germany, Adesso acquires AI insurance startup Omni US. German software company Adesso acquired Berlin-based AI insurance startup Omni US. This is a good example of mature European software companies buying AI capabilities instead of trying to build everything internally. Navis, Navvis, raises for spatial intelligence. Munich-based Navis raised 73.7 million euros to expand its 3D scanning hardware and digital twin software. Its platform creates the spatial data needed for factory automation, robotics, and physical AI. Our last story from Germany, Moss extends its Series C. Berlin-based fintech Moss raised a 30 million euro Series C extension for its finance management platform. The company combines corporate cards, invoice management, accounting workflows, and AI tools for European small and mid-sized businesses. In Sweden, Lovable becomes a European AI giant. Stockholm-based Lovable raised about 343 million euros at a valuation above 13 billion. The platform lets users build web applications with natural language prompts, putting it in the middle of the AI software creation boom. Our final story for European startups, River AI launches with a massive seed round. River AI emerged from stealth with a reported $1.1 billion USD seed round to build enterprise autonomous agents. Whether you see that as an ambition or froth, it shows how aggressively investors are still funding AI companies that promise to automate complex corporate workflows. In VC news in Europe, public funding keeps filling the gap. European programs continued opening grant and accelerator funding for cybersecurity, health tech, circular economy, creative technology, clean tech, soil technology, and startup expansion into Japan. The common theme is that Europe keeps using public capital to help startups across the gap between research and commercial deployment. 500 Global opens its Eurasia Accelerator window. 500 Global opened its priority application cycle for its Eurasia Accelerator, offering up to $100,000 per selected startup. The program targets early revenue companies across Eastern Europe and Central Asia, Eurasia, with global scaling ambitions. AI Nation opens grant applications. Germany's AI Nation program opened applications for early-stage German AI startups. The support includes non-dilutive funding, compute access, incubation, and investor exposure, which is exactly the kind of public infrastructure early deep tech teams often need. In other ecosystem news, AI cybersecurity becomes its own category. MindGuard, Enforcer, EUDOROS, and several EU security grant programs all point in the same direction. AI is creating a new cybersecurity market. Companies now need to defend not just networks and laptops, but models, agents, prompts, training data, and automated decisions. The industrial AI stack is getting built. Across Europe, the week's strongest stories included chips, synthetic battlefields, spatial intelligence, AI, medical imaging, private market software, spare parts logistics, and defense simulation. The startup market is moving towards specific, expensive, and operational problems. So, that's it for this week. Asia is building around semiconductors, public-backed venture capital, and AI infrastructure. Latin America was a lot quieter, but it still showed practical AI and professional services software. And Europe is going deep into AI, chips, cybersecurity, defense simulation, spatial data, and public-backed startup funding. The big takeaway is that the AI boom is creating two markets at once. A few mega rounds are pulling in enormous capital, while everyone else is fighting for more selective funding in much narrower categories. I'm Grant Watkins, and this is the Startup Vagabond. I'll see you next week for more global startup news. Thank you very much. Bye.